Yay, it says I am live here. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you if you celebrate. It is a beautiful day here in Mount Shasta, the meeting place of heaven and earth. The sun is shining. It's pretty warm out there, so I really can't complain too much. I'm wearing the shirt that Kyle sent me for Valentine's Day. Let me give you a quick look if I can get away from the... Kyle, can you see? Not your mom, not your milk. I'm sure there are people in here that are drinking their dairy products love to see it, but I don't live for them. It's nice to be basically able to plant vegan seeds wherever you go just by wearing a shirt. Then you don't even really have to talk to anybody. They'll see your shirt and then that seed's already planted just in passing by. So it's very cool. Have a good day. There's a few people that were here this morning that I knew, so that was kind of fun. Anyways, so let's jump into the topic of discussion for today, which is veganism healthy? There are multiple different ways that you can approach veganism. For me, I went vegan for the animals, so I haven't particularly been focusing on the health aspect. Just like with any diet, you can eat a cleaner diet, or you can eat an impure junk food diet. And I'll talk about veganism being a diet in just a second, because it's a multifaceted question. But some people that are vegan for the animals tend to be junk food vegans, so they're eating, processed foods and replicas of the foods that they already are addicted to. And that's what I tell, for the people that are struggling with veganism, literally anything that you like can be made in a vegan version. So that you don't have to harm animals. And you can go to the store and buy those products, or you can make them in a healthier version, right? The whole foods, plants version, where you go and buy all the ingredients and you put it together yourself. So there's different steps in healthiness, and ultimately the most healthy people are going to be those that are consuming only as our creator intended, raw herb and fruit bearing seed. This is a machine, and just like your car, you need to put the right fuel in your car. You need to put the right, all the liquids, all the things that you put in your car for it to move. You need to make sure that they're the right ones, or you can cause problems in your vehicle. And it's just the same as this. Anytime that you are eating the proper diet, your body, your machine is going to function properly. Easier said than done. I agree with that fully. I'm working on it myself, purifying the diet. But I'm also learning a lot more about nutrition, and not the way that the powers that be teach, right? There's so many lies to uncover with what we've been taught. Like, they even say you can't even go 3 days without water or 10 days without food. And the dry fasting groups, fasting communities are proving that that's not true. As far as the nutrition goes, it's kind of interesting because the two things that people mainly go to first is protein and B12. So let's just talk about those for a little while. If you understand that the diet that we're supposed to eat is raw herb and fruit bearing seed, and we look at raw fruit and herb bearing seed, and for instance, the amount of protein in this, the amount of protein in an apple, all of these fruits that we're supposed to be eating have very little amounts of protein, which tells me that we don't need as much as they say. And there are a lot of issues that actually come from consuming too much protein. And that kind of leads into the B12 discussion, because I was reading an interesting article here. I don't know, it looks like I didn't save the link, but I can probably just type in the words. Anyways, so this person Halstead reported that some Iranian villagers with very little animal product intake, dairy once a week, meat once a month, had normal B12 levels. None had megaloblastic anemia. Their average B12 level was quite high considering their diet. The authors speculated this could be because their diets, which were very low in protein, allowed for B12 producing bacteria to ascend into the ileum where the B12 could be absorbed. So they actually are truthful in saying that our bodies actually do produce B12, but they say that it is produced in these lower areas where it's already past where the digestion has happened. So as this was saying, the author said that it might be because it allowed the B12 producing bacteria to ascend to where it could be absorbed. In a way, the whole system kind of is absorptive in its own to varying degrees. But our creator wasn't stupid. Like, he made the body to function how it should. And so this whole concept of it, being produced too late in the system or like a design flaw, it's not the design that's flawed, it's you and how you are using the machine, what you're doing to it. They actually have, I don't really want to talk about feces, but they've actually tested that and said, the vegans are getting enough or whatever, but it's just coming too late in the process and it's not being absorbed. The problem is your body is not functioning properly because you're not eating properly. Otherwise, you're not going to have any deficiencies of any type. Fasting and fruit is literally all that you need to be the healthiest version of yourself possible. So that kind of leads back to, is veganism healthy? Well, if you are doing it the proper way, if you are eating the proper diet, which is raw herb and fruit bearing seed, that's veganism, then yes. But if you are a junk food vegan, I still applaud you for being vegan, but you can't be like holding up a flag that says that you're the pinnacle of health in this world. So yeah, there are issues that you can come across from veganism and an unbalanced diet of any type. And that again leads to the idea of people saying, veganism isn't a diet because it's not strictly based on what we eat. We extend it to not wearing leather, trying to use any products like makeup or hair products or soap, any types of products. We try to go and see, on the ingredients list, we want to make sure that it doesn't have any animal ingredients in it and that it's not tested on animals. So that's why one of the reasons why they say veganism isn't just a diet, even though, if you look on Google, it's kind of a multi-part thing because technically it is a diet, but it's you and I that are vegan know that it's more than just what we eat. So that's why it's classified as that. But back to the B12, there was another also interesting thing that they said that the animals that people eat are often given, a lot of people say they're given B12 supplements, but from what I've read, they're actually given higher cobalt in their diet. So it says the requirement for cobalt is around 0.11 ppm dry matter in the diet. Although current recommendations advise supplementing the diet up to 0.20, which seems to increase animal production, especially in dairy cattle. So they're actually getting unnatural and even higher, supplements of cobalt to get them to this state. And these people are like, where'd you get your B12 from? Well, you're getting it from a very unnatural place and through an animal that is being tortured and enslaved and abused and then killed. Like, I'm getting it from any other resource but that. I don't care, usually a lot of your nutritional yeast and stuff is fortified with B12, and I definitely consume a lot of nutritional yeast because that's what is like the cheesy. It's one of the main things that is in vegan cheeses and gives it that cheesy texture or cheesy flavor. So yeah, there's a lot of misinformation about B12 and protein and what we actually need, and yeah, it's quite interesting to see how many ways that we've been lied to about every single thing. So, yeah, there's also some doctors and stuff, vegan doctors that address different protein and talk about soy and how the phytoestrogen in soy in plant products doesn't have the same effect on us as when you're eating the flesh of an animal, a girl cow that was slaughtered, her body is full of mammalian estrogen. Her byproducts, her the eggs, the dairy, the flesh, all of it has mammalian estrogen in it, which actually has a bad effect, a really bad effect, especially on males. You should not be consuming estrogen. So Kyle says that my shirt fits me just fine. I would prefer it to be snugger, personally. I like shirts that show off my curves. Mike says, hi, Anana. Hi, Mike. How are you? David says, Queen is glowing. Oh, thank you. I have been spending a little bit of time out in the sun. I spent a few hours out there yesterday. It was really nice because it's been so warm out lately. Aspect 761 says, have you heard of keto diet? Is it good? Ketosis is actually a survival mechanism that your body goes into. So it's definitely not something that you're supposed to stay in that state of ketosis. But when you go through fasting, you do go through that. And there is healing that can come from doing keto diets. Unfortunately, usually people that are keto don't do a vegan version of that. So they basically double down on the flesh, the cheese, all of these fat things, and don't eat any bread, don't eat any spaghetti. It's like, wow, you're really doing good there. Cut out the plants and keep that. But obviously, bread and spaghetti aren't healthy for us. I know that breaks my heart to say because I love spaghetti. But yeah. So, anyways, there is healing that can come from ketosis, or the keto diet, whatever you want to say. And you can actually do it vegan. So there are vegan keto groups. I personally am not into counting calories and like these micronutrients type focuses. Our creator intended us to be like living in this Garden of Eden surrounded by fresh fruits and just frolicking around eating whatever we want. Not like, did I get enough protein for today? Did I get enough of this? That, like, I'm not personally going to be sitting here focused on that kind of stuff because I don't believe that's what our creator intended for us. And at the same time, the food that we are given it's being sprayed obviously with chemtrails, but there's other things that have gone on to deprive it of nutrients, to change it from God's original design. So really the best thing that we could do would be to grow our own food. So we know what it's being grown with, what kind of fertilization is being done and all this stuff. But if you can't do that, then local organic is the best step. And, obviously we have to do what we can do in this world. I don't always, like, my fruit and vegetables not always organic. I definitely try, but I have to live in the world that I am in. Obviously fasting is always an option, but it's not usually the first one that comes to mind for me, at least. I'm definitely impressed by people that have more willpower in the food area. Yeah, it's kind of cool that we all have our own issues in a way. We don't all struggle with the same things, but I'm kind of jealous of the people that don't have issues with food like I do. David says junk food veganism. Living on fries and beer is vegan, but definitely not healthy. Exactly. Raw veganism is healthy. And just another note on that. For me, it doesn't matter if I would somehow develop a health issue, I'm not going to go back and consume animal products. Veganism isn't something that you just stop doing. It's not something that you try and fail. Veganism, again, you're focused on the animals and the victim. You don't just stop caring about the animals because you have some sort of health issue. I personally don't get those. I don't believe that an animal should have to die for me to live, for anybody to live for that matter. It's like, why do you think that you are so important? What great thing have you ever brought to this world that an innocent animal should have to die for you? Don't get me started on that. But anyways, Mike Mechanic says, I became vegan for health, but I've become an ethical vegan as time went on. Very cool. Hey, Abdullah A, how's it going? David says B12 is addictive. They suggest ridiculous amounts of B12 that can only come through artificial supplementation. And when you don't get your high B12 level, you go into withdrawal, exhausted, no energy. They put caffeine and B12 into energy drinks. This is what makes them addictive. That is a really good point as well, with not just B12, but when they're saying you need, like, I don't even know what the daily supplement of protein is even supposed to be at this point, where they're like, you need so much protein, and then you're getting all of these different elements from that protein, not just on the physical side where you're eating and there's chemical reactions, but that animal flesh, when those animals are, getting loaded up into the truck and they're standing in line waiting to get slaughtered, like, their adrenaline is pumping. They are not happy. They're very sad. So when you eat that flesh, it's full of adrenaline. You're getting a demonic high from that. So when you step away from these drugs, these various forms of drugs, whether it's adrenalized flesh or the B12, the actual the chemicalized aspect of it, B12 and everything, it's an addiction. It's a bloodlust. So when you step away from it, there's going to be, side effects. Your body's going to need to start healing too, right? You keep putting all this junk in, and your body is at this, like, toleration level. And then when you do go vegan, when you start to heal, when you start to fast, it'll bring up various issues that you need to suffer through to heal. Like a healing crisis is what they often refer to it in the dry fasting groups and stuff, where old pains will come up, like, kidneys, knees, joint pain, like all of these different things that you haven't been working on. Now your body is finally able to stop processing food, right, and deal with the junk that's already in all of your cells that's built up over all the time. You're supposed to have a healthy balance of fasting and feasting, so that, you fast, your body is digesting and processing, and then or opposite way around. You feast, and then your body is digesting and processing, and then you fast and you give it a rest, and then you allow all of the things that are in your body to come out and to heal, to purify. And most people don't do that. So they're on this constant feast their whole life. And so they're having all these underlying health issues that are building up and never get healed. Then the doctor puts them on medication, and that just puts a Band-Aid on the issue. And so they go their whole lives with these underlying health problems and never get healed. So anyways, Jacob, how's it going? I do fine with Ezekiel bread. Might do good with fresh milled wheat berries too. Yeah, there are some good types of bread out there. I guess I shouldn't have demonized bread in that manner, but the standard bread that most people consume, the enriched, bleached flour, even the stuff that they use in some of the earlier processes to preserve the dough, I believe, they use something called L-cysteine, I think is how it's pronounced, and it's actually made from human hair. So they're using human hair, like, in your bread. It's really quite disgusting to think of how we've been programmed to eat these gross things. I don't know. Abdullah A says, what soap do you use? I don't remember for my dishes, I use 7th generation because that's what's readily available. But I don't remember what the soap brand for body wash is that I use. I usually just pick whatever is convenient and vegan. There's a few different brands at Walmart. I think my hair supply stuff is called Planet and Beauty or something, like some globe-charted name. But anyways, it's vegan, so that's what matters to me. Aspect 761 says, I use Dove soap. It doesn't dry the skin. Interesting. I'm not really sure if Dove is vegan or not. That's usually my first question for any product, because that's what I care about. Every action that we take is not only going to gain us good or bad karma, but it's also like when you go to the store and you're paying, that's supply and demand, right? So every time that you pay for something, you're telling the store that you want more of that product. So whether it's soap or it's the flesh of innocence, where you put your money, where you put your demand, that's what the supply is going to be more of. So that's with every topic. And with veganism, David D actually posted something to the Shasta vegan community about Oscar Mayer hot dogs, and it's kind of blown up in one of the vegan groups, because there are purist vegans that are like anti any product that comes from a company that is, Oscar Mayer is involved with so much animal slaughter. For me personally, as a vegan, we should definitely do what we can to avoid these things. But if there is a vegan option from the same company that already makes this, the people that are not vegan are going to go up to that Oscar Mayer section at the store, and they're going to see, oh, there's a plant-based version. They're much likely to try the Oscar Mayer plant-based version than to leave the Oscar Mayer section to go over to maybe whatever obscure vegan section there is and try a brand of hot dogs that is completely different. And I kind of just wanted to mention this because I think that it's important to have these different options for people. No, they're not the healthiest, but veganism isn't about your health. It's about the animals. So if you go to the store and you get that Oscar Mayer version that's vegan and you're not killing an animal, like you're not getting the kind that's made literally out of animal flesh, that's telling them what to make more of, the kind that doesn't come from animals. That's great. That's a great step forward for the animals. So anyways, I get a little bit excited about this stuff. It's so awesome actually that we live in this time where there are so many different options, and pretty much anything that you like can be made in a vegan version. So Jacob says that the body stores a lot of toxins and fat to protect itself, since many of them it can't easily deal with. Yes, so fasting brings them back into the system to be dealt with. Fasting gets a lot easier with more practice. Not really sure what you meant there, but yeah, it definitely gets easier the more that you do it. What is highly nutritious, but the germ does not last long when milled. Oh, you're talking about the bread. Okay. Anyways, let me say hi, Eric. How are you doing? Keep preaching. Love your work. Oh, thank you. Your truth and your authenticity. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm tongue-tied today. Do you use the Yucca app? I am not sure what that is, so no, I don't. Aspect 761 says they sell herbal soap at health food stores. Yes, they do. There's so many options these days that there's literally no need to hurt animals. So Bronner's soap is pretty effective and mild. I'm not sure. That might be the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, this is the one that I was thinking of. I've used it before. I'm not really a big fan of it as far as body soap goes, but I know that it can be used for a lot of different purposes, so that's really cool. But anyways, I'm actually got to get off of here quite soon because I have an appointment to make at 12:30. So I appreciate you guys joining me, and hope you will join me next week at the same time and the same place. And if you have any other topics that you want me to discuss, please get them to me so that we can talk about them. All right. Have a wonderful day. May God and the Goddess bless you.